Hi there, my name is Andre. I will be going through the blackjack demo today with you guys. Just before I start playing, I just wanted to say a few words because when I was looking through the demos and I saw their Steam page, I was immediately really impressed with the production values. The artwork is fantastic. It has this kind of dark fantasy thing going on. It looks really cohesive, and the voice acting really pulled me in. It's not that easy, especially for indie games, to have good voice acting direction, but this game really pulls it off, I think. I started already with a good impression of the production levels of this game. Obviously, it's about blackjack. It's a game I'm familiar with, the real one in casinos. From my understanding, there is a good, shall we say, there is maybe a small advantage to players who are familiar with the game, with the logic of the game, but it's definitely not a requirement for you to enjoy this game, as well as the tutorial explains relatively well what goes on. So let's begin.
Without a gasp, a flicker of memory, or even a name, you wake in the underworld. Souls shamble restlessly under a crimson sky. Somewhere in the distance, the ferryman awaits you. For a price, he might take you back to the life you were robbed of. But you'll need coin. Lots of it. You are finally here again. How I have missed you. My name is Reed. You might struggle to remember me, that's all right. Let's get back to something familiar. Here, take some coins. I won't ask you to pay me back. It's a gift. Now, we must both pay the blind. And cards, of course. Draw one and place it on the table.
So again, what I was talking about before, the presentation of the game is stellar. The artwork is really well put together. I really like that the intro is short and to the point. Not only looks good, and again, stellar voice acting, but it is straight to the point. A lot of games can spend time that hasn't been earned yet, giving out too much information about the world or making the player wait too long until they see the game. So this game does that really well. So it seems like we have each a stash of coins, and there is some money that we both bet. As opposed to real-life blackjack, which is played against the casino, this is played on a kind of versus arena, so one against the other. Let's see what else Reed has to say.
Now it's my turn. The goal is to get close to 21 but not over. If your cards add up to 22 or more, you bust. Since you only have an 8, you are safe to draw. My turn again. 17 is a risky spot to be in. If you draw a 5 or higher, you bust. I suggest you pass. Let's see. Once we've both passed, we compare our cards and see who wins. Oh no, it seems I've gone over 21. Because I busted and you didn't, you won. The winner gets their bet back and the loser's coins go to the pot. The winner's pot holds all the coins we lose. If I lose my last coin, you get everything in the winner's pot. Your opponent will always take the first turn. It's just a little rule I made to help you out.
So one thing that I noticed the first time around that I played the game was that it's not even a complaint, it's minor, but it's slightly strange that the first time around you're told to pick up the card, where in reality the game is played as the AI takes the first card. But other than that, it's somewhat clear what goes on in this game. So in real life blackjack, you're also trying to go against 21, as opposed to this game, which has a short deck of cards. In real life, you're playing with a full deck of cards, as well as some cards that are discarded to begin with. So it's much harder to understand what kind of odds you have, whereas here you can open and see what you've drawn and what else is left on the deck.
Soothing, isn't it? Oh, an ace! Try putting it into your sleeve instead of playing it. Every time you sleeve, some of your coins are moved to the bed. Since you didn't play a card, it is still your turn.
So the sleeve seems like a really good mechanic, because I think the problems that the designers will have faced when they were designing this game is that you want to give players agency. You want to give them choices. With blackjack, sometimes you are not quite making a choice. Sometimes you really have to pass, and sometimes you really have to go. But with having a sleeve, it makes you sometimes choose not to play a card, even though you might have drawn something back.
Another. You might have noticed already that some slots on the table have costs. See what happens when I play into it. Playing a card into the slot forced me to raise the bet. Most souls you encounter will try to avoid this for as long as they can. Don't worry. Take a chance. Pass. You are at 19. You should also pass. You win again. Well done. How wonderful. An ace. A 10. Seems we're both in luck today. Now is a good time to talk
So you
about
might have
slot
noticed
effects.
that the cards have
You start
effects.
each encounter
Reed's
with
gonna
2
talk
of
about
them in your rightmost slots. If you play a card there, the effect is activated. Play your ace into any slot with an exploit effect. It will force me to pay my last coin to the bet. Notice that your ace has 2 values, an 11 and a 1. Cards with multiple values, like aces, will automatically use the value that brings you closest to 21. You have a blackjack, which is the best hand in the game. You should pass. Pass. Remember, a blackjack beats everything, even 21. To get a blackjack, you need an ace and any card with the value 10. If neither one of us have a blackjack and our total values are the same, the highest card is the tiebreaker. And just like that, I am out of coins. You win. You get all the coins that have built up in the winner's pot. If you bring them to a shop, you may spend them to improve your deck.
So just a few things to mention before I move on. One of minor complaints I had the first time around I played the game was that there are times where it's obvious that the player should pass. Just like this one that the tutorial shows, if I have a blackjack and the other player doesn't, I am guaranteed to win. And I sort of wish that the game would pass by itself. Although later on I've realized that there might be times where you have clearly won the round, but you might still want to play cards. Some cards have abilities, so you can check your deck, and you might want to get rid of a particular card or two if you are still guaranteed to win and you don't want that card on your deck. So there might be some extraordinary circumstances where it's better not to pass, but again, in this circumstance of having blackjack, it seems like there would be no other choice. It's a really small complaint, but it's there nonetheless. So this tells me the boss we're gonna fight at the end. And there are shops on the way, so this has the classic roguelike map where you make choices and then you're limited. You limit the future choices you might have. We can check out the shop now.
Oh, hello! Such a pleasant surprise. When you start a journey, you will choose 3 suits that will be in that journey's shops. For this journey, I have already chosen a few good ones for you. The clubs are my favorite. Coins in the winner's pot will be spent first, but you may dip into your personal stash as well. Have a look around. Try awakening a card or buy something new. It is all up to you. You may leave whenever you want.
One interesting mechanic that I really like is that in this game, so as Reed says, we can spend the money that we've won, but we can also then, if we want to, spend money that is our stash. So what this means is that my stash is essentially my life for this game. And if it runs out, I lose the run. So it's a really interesting mechanic to be able to dip, as Reed says, into my life source to acquire better cards. It might save your run, even if it looks like you're damaging yourself. So that's a quite clever choice on the part of the designers. Then there's some passives on the cards decks, some abilities, if we can call it that. I ended up realizing that these are tied to the numbers and the suit that they're in. So the 3 of clubs, once awakened, will always be this, from my understanding. And the 6 of spades, once awakened, will always be this. So they have fixed abilities that you can awaken, but eventually over time we can learn those mechanics by heart, I would imagine. So we can take cards from our deck, and we can also awaken. So as you can see here, for example, the 10 is awakened. It has a mechanic, while these others do not have any ability active yet. And we can see here that these do, while these do not. So awaken a card is to activate its ability, make it possible to be used. We have packs where we can pick the suits. And the thing that I wonder the most here, the first time around I was here in the shop, is that it's kind of strange for me to think about burning cards. Because when I look at my deck, and I have low cards, well, a sequence of 2 to 10, and some 3 figures, I am left wondering, which card would I burn? Because sometimes it is good to have this 2 or this 3. If you hit 17 or 18, this 3 will make it 21. So it seems strange to me at the moment to think which cards should be burned, because the card's power is in its circumstances. To have only high cards, let's imagine I don't have the 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. If I get 7 and 8, I get a relatively low number of 15, and any other card I would take except for the ace would make me go bust. So it doesn't seem like a good idea to remove these smaller cards. So at the same time, it's definitely not good to remove the high cards, so again, I'm left wondering which cards should be burned, but it is something that can become clearer as I play the game. The other thing I was left wondering was, is it good to mix suits or not? Do suits bounce each other off synergetically, or is it better to stay with the same suit? Again, it is probably too early for me to know that, but I will try to keep to this suit, which is diamonds, and it seems like I can get a booster pack on sale. They are all awakened. We can check out the mechanics by putting our mouse over. So Whisper says this effect triggers when a card is played into this card's hollow spot. And then there's insight. And hollow means that another card can be played on top of this, and both card values remain active. So this can be useful in different ways, because as you saw in our board, there are slots that cost money from our stash to be played, and this kind of avoids that. It gives you an extra slot. Not only that, but when you play it, you have another ability that is activated when you do that, when you play the card on top. In this case, it's called Insight, and Insight lets you look and rearrange the top cards of that deck. So you can maintain them on top or put them at the bottom. Interestingly, there's also Insight on the other player's deck. So there's also that going on. In this case, I like the 4, because the 4 allows it to be a 0 as well, so I can sometimes take a bigger risk and it can be cancelled out if I would go bust. I'm liking that card. There's another 2. We can maybe awaken a card as well. The Ace. If you do a blackjack, you get Insight 3. What else do we have here? So one thing that I learned the first time around, and the game didn't quite make it clear for me, but it's not a big problem. You just need to do it once and then you understand. Here, if we see that the 5 has a whisper, so something that happens when you put a card on top. When you do that, that card played gains 2. So my original interpretation was that if I put a 7 on top of the 5, that 7 would essentially be a 9 because it gained value of 2. That is not what happens. When you put a card on top of this 5, it gains also the alternative number of being a 2. So just like this Ace has an 11 and a 1, if, let's say, I put the 6 on top of the 5, the 6 would also have a 2 here, which means it could alternate between 6 and 2 to avoid busting. So it's not immediately clear, but that is what the card does. So a lot of cards of diamonds seem to go hollow when you awaken them. Set the play card value to 1. Okay, so this seems to allow you to put a card on 9 if you would go bust. So this 10 stops exhausting and becomes an insight 1. So that's kind of nice, because if you put this 10, you can check if the other card is high or not and put it down. But I like the 6. The 6 has 2 insights. It allows me to see 2 cards and then decide what's best. I'm gonna wait for the 6. I still have 4 left, and awakening another card or burning costs 4, so the price has gone up. I think I will awaken another one. And I do like insight, so I will. Alright, that's it for now. even though, like I say, we could spend more money.
Before
from
you
stash.
leave, one last piece of advice. Your deck comes with face cards. Try playing them next to each other and see what happens. Don't fear defeat. I will always be here for you. Good luck.
So now we're going to play. We have to pick one of these. So the first time I played this map, it was slightly different, and I could pick between two cards. And I wasn't sure what was going on here, if this was going to be a match that had some kind of difference between Solitude and Double Up. But these are actually a place where we can pick two cards in the case of Double Up, or in the case of Solitude, it's just one. So that's all it is. One card is awakened and the other one isn't. We have here what I was mentioning before. You can check their deck. Bolster. Move X coins from the winner spot into your bet. Okay, that is quite nice. Gives me more lives in the game. I quite like that. So it tells me which suits they use, which might become more relevant later. This guy has less lives, less coins. Easier to win against them. Small detail, but I like the hands here change from Reed to whoever this guy is, and the boss as well. So just a small detail, but it does make you feel like you're playing against a different person. That's good. Drain and discard each adjacent card. So this is a 13 reserve, so that's quite good for them. But I've got a blackjack already, so I'm good.
I don't understand.
First round is ours. So I can't make another blackjack because my ace is there. I will pay an extra coin because I would like to get some insight on my next card, but that will make it 15. So I will put it in my sleeve because 15 is not a great number. 15, I can get busted by pretty much, well, a bit less, like around a third of my deck will make me bust. So they're not that bad, they're actually better. But still, I will pay 1 so I can do an insight. So this 10 would make me bust, although I could always sleeve it. But since I'm not looking for this 10, I will put it down. On the bottom of the deck. 17 is not amazing. 17 is not amazing. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to pass. So at 17, only these cards would not make me bust. The rest would make me bust. So the odds are not in my favor. They passed as well.
The cards promised victory.
So, although I like that the game does make you feel like you are kind of playing against the person, because they do often seem to be making a strange decision, I have to say this is a little bit of an odd moment. At 15 against the 17, it's guaranteed loss for the AI. So they might as well have pulled another card. They could have taken anything, and even if they busted, well, they were going to lose anyway. So that felt slightly off from what should have happened. So So exploit, force the opponent to put coins. I like this bolster that we had on the other 5 of clubs. More cards to awaken. I'm gonna go for some insight now. This 4 is like a good choice. So one thing that is apparent to me is that the lower the number of the card, the better the power. Or at least relatively, but we can see here, for example, the 10 has an insight of 1, whereas the 4 not only has an insight of 2, but it also has the possibility of being a 0, and the 2 has an insight of 3 when it's awakened. So it's a nice little way of balancing. The higher cards will have slightly worse powers than the lower cards, and face cards don't even seem to have powers at all. Okay, so let's fight Morgan. This is the boss of this level.
Ain't you a sight for sore eyes? Pull up a chair. You and me are gonna have ourselves a friendly game. Like I always say,
So,
let the good times roll.
I will mention it again. I do appreciate how the hands are different. The first time I played this game, I did have this small complaint that this coin will be used once this character no longer has any coins. So maybe it was on me as a player, because it does say that they will bet this when they have no coins left in their stash, so it's like you get their soul, which is a neat mechanic. But the first time I didn't really notice the importance the game gave on this. I think it would be nice if Reed mentioned that or put emphasis on that, because I thought I had won the game and I didn't. The opponent still had this soul coin. Okay, other than that, it's our turn to go. Start well with an ace. Just to reference as well that it seems like these bosses have their own abilities. So each sleeve card will be exhausted at the start of the round. So I can't leave the sleeve cards here. Or they will be discarded at the end of the round. It might still be good sleeve cards because they could make me bust, but it does change the way that this combat goes. Also interesting to note that these abilities on the board change, and it seems to be automatic. I don't have any agency on that.
Woo! Here comes the ace!
Put an impulse card on the bottom of their deck. So if there was an impulse card, they would go to the bottom. Interesting. Okay, 19 against 19.
Pass.
And they will pass. And I will pass too, because even though this is tied, the highest card wins. As I have this, that means I win.
Just take them already.
So if I have 15 after this, I still have about 7 cards to 11, so about 2/3 of my deck will make me go bust. Question is, do I sleeve the 5 or do I sleeve the next one? Interestingly, it tells me the suit. I hadn't noticed that before. So it tells me the suit of the next card, which is guaranteed to be a 5. So in my particular scenario, this works out quite well because both my club cards are 5s, so I know I will be having 20. If I didn't, if I had a 5 and a 10, then I couldn't tell. So that's an interesting thing to play around. Into my bet. No, I think I'm okay. No, let's see. Okay. So this... Okay. Oh, they have 21. Okay. So without an ace, I really cannot win this. I cannot get another one. So this card is hollow. Oh, this is the impulse card. Another card can be played on this card. Both card values remain active. So I really cannot win this round, so I think I have to pass.
Ha! Still got it.
So 4. So I'm going to have 19 if I keep this going, which I think I will. 19 is not a bad number. Oof. Seems like might have already lost. Let's see, because of the 6 I have an insight. So I have 19, so only the 2 will make me win this round, and even then I'm pretty much done because they have a 10, and the 10 will be higher than any of the cards I can pull off. So I've lost the round by now. There's nothing I can do. I could prepare for the next round and get a guaranteed 10, maybe get a figure. Unless I can use this increase by 2, no, I would still lose. So I think I will leave this as a 10 for the next round.
Woo-hoo! Here it comes. Just the luck of the draw.
I'm closer to losing now. So this 2 is not good for us. After this 2, there's a good chance that there will be a figure. Can I put it on my sleeve? I can, even though my bet will go to 0, but I have to try. I think I'm closer to losing the game. Okay. At least there's a 20. I'm gonna leave this for here for if there's a next round. No, lost again.
Ah, the card's all... You go on and lick your wounds now. We'll see each other again real soon. I'm that lucky penny that keeps turning up.
Okay, so just a few words to finish off. I do think that this game has a lot of potential. The production values are in a really good place, which is one of the defining characteristics of an indie game having success or not. In terms of gameplay, I'm still cautious about it. I think the developers have done really well to give players agency. Each card being drawn feels really significant, and I like that about the game. I like that every time I'm about to take a card, I am on the edge of my seat. It's that part is well done. I like the card abilities as well, but I am worried that there are times where the agency just doesn't feel that significant. Right now, it doesn't seem, at least with my inexperience of the game, like I could have done a lot of things differently to get a better play. The cards in my deck are set in stone. I can play around the odds. I could even play with the abilities on the table. But even now that I had a 20, I couldn't use anything on the table that was meaningful. Increasing the value by 2 would make me bust. And using the exploit on the opponent also wouldn't make any difference. So there will be times in this game that it just feels like you couldn't have done anything different. And that is not a very good feeling. I'm not sure how many ways that the game can mitigate that. The sleeve definitely helps, but it might not be enough, especially at the beginning when there's not a lot of ability cards in your deck. Another thing that I hope that the game has, and I haven't seen it yet, and I think it might be this thing here, which they are calling artifacts. So something similar to Slay-the-Spire relics. Something that changes the game, that changes how you play, that changes what happens when cards interact with, perhaps. I think at the moment for this, the initial part of the demo at least, because I'm not sure if this mechanic exists in the rest of the demo, it definitely feels like it is missing. Slay-the-Spire and games like it definitely thrive on mechanics interacting with each other. And although I like the cards on the abilities, and the things like the sleeve mechanic, I'm not sure it's enough to sustain the game long term. So that remains to be seen. So there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of good production here. I'm not sure about the longevity, because in a game like this, what you want is the repeatability, the itch to play another round, to play another run, to see new interactions that are interesting or sometimes even overpowered. And if the game can do that, then it's on a really good path. For now, I'm not entirely certain that that's the case. I will keep playing the game. I will try to see if there are artifacts on this demo, because that can make or break. But I am going to definitely follow this game with interest. I think the tutorial is well done. Some of the minor quibbles I have are things that you understand by failing, which is normal in these games. So yeah, it's a pretty good demo. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from the game, and I'll see you next time.